Zorus Media in the house. What's good?
Yo, what is up? What is up, everybody?
We are
How are you?
back.
Nice. We're a little bit late today, but we have a story as to why. Okay, and if you're coming from my Snapchat, you should know why, right? Now,
I
Mark
haven't
didn't
seen
want me
it.
to say it. Mark didn't want me to say it live on stream, guys. So just be a little bit sensitive. Mark had a pet fish named Roger. All right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Roger passed away today, and Mark had to take him to the vet. I think it's included within the lockdown rules, but yeah, Mark took his pet fish to Roger. Mark took his Roger to the vet, and yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. As you can see, Mark has tissues. He's been crying for a while now.
Shut up, bro. Let's
But
get to
yeah,
the episode, guys.
let's
Don't
get.
listen to this clown. Do not listen to this clown.
It's always Mark's fault if we're late, by the way. It's never my fault. Just
Yeah,
for everyone
definitely.
that's watching. Anyway, listen.
Mm,
On a serious note, if you felt sad for Mark when I spoke about Roger,
that's it.
that's the topic
100%.
for today's episode. Today's episode is about empathy and being empathetic. And if you don't know what that is, like some people,
Exactly.
if you don't know what empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone's shoes and feel what they're feeling. It's the ability to understand someone's pain. It's the ability to understand someone's joy. And we think it's one of the most important business qualities you could ever have, especially when you're dealing with business to consumers.
100%, bro. Being empathetic is required in every place of business. And we're talking on this topic today because someone that we always talk about mentions that Gary Vee, of course. And not only that, like we've had to go through it, like we've had to use empathy in order to get through our shit and stuff, and like seeing it through other people, which it makes it better, you know what I mean?
100%. And like, bro, we always talk about like relatability. We
Yeah.
talk about when you're pitching a sale, making reason with the customer and all that. Bro,
Yeah.
let me tell you something.
Tell me.
For all of you that are here to try to figure out how to make money, empathy makes you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. It sounds a bit, how you go, it sounds like a scam, right? Like, yeah, deploy empathy, make money, but it's true,
Yeah.
right? Because being genuinely empathetic is sometimes hard. Sometimes people find it hard to put themselves in someone else's shoes, especially when it's someone who's, let's say, in a different social circumstances them or different financial circumstances them. But when you learn how to be empathetic, you speak to people on an eye-to-eye level. You don't speak to people on a higher up level looking down on them. You know what I mean? Which I believe some businesses do. That's where they struggle, right? And the ability to be empathetic is so important in business because when you're making a product or service for a customer, right? You have to understand, how is that going to impact their life? What feelings are they having that you're impacting? Let me give an example. Recliners in chairs, right?
Yeah.
The person that made recliners in chairs, usually there would have been normal chairs, then there would have been couches, then there would have been recliners. I just got that out of my ass, but let's just assume that's the migration, right?
Yeah.
So the person who made the couch was saying, you know what would my consumer want that would affect, like, if I was sitting in a couch right now, this is what they were thinking. If I was sitting in a couch right now, what would make it more comfortable from what it already is? And then they would come up with recliners, right? And that's being empathetic, because that's putting yourself in their shoes and empathizing with the fact that they are lacking comfortability, right? And this can be difficult for some people, because when you're providing a product or service and you're not using it, or you don't know enough about it, then you can't really empathize with the people that are using it, and you can't really empathize with the things that are happening, right? And it's like, so the ability to be empathetic comes in sales pitches as well, not only like when you're like making the product or service, but in the sales pitch, it's actually very important that you deploy emotion to understand that the reason they don't want to go through with the sale, or the reason they do want to go through, you understand and you resonate with them. Like, not only do you understand, but you give reason to you give reason to the way to why they're feeling that way. You know what I mean? People like their feelings being verified. You know,
100%.
People want to be told it's okay to feel like that. You know what I mean? And you can't genuinely get that unless you have empathy. And that's why I think empathy is so important in business.
And it's not like you don't have to always have that in business. Like you can use that in personal lives as well. Like Gary Vee says, like having the emotional strength to deploy empathy. Like when someone is coming to you with anger, is like one of the best gifts someone can have, and that's like
100%.
real shit. Because
Yeah.
like, tell us a time when you've used empathy, Mark.
Yeah. Well, like, you know,
Yeah.
like people talk shit, right?
Yeah.
It's the internet. Everyone's
Mm.
gonna be talking shit,
Mhm.
right? You do something good, you do something bad, you're gonna get hated or you're gonna get loved for it. You never know until you post, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the ability to like understand where someone is coming from.
Yeah.
Talk about bullying in school, right? Like the people that bully in school, they
Yeah.
have some internal shit going on. So
100%,
instead of getting
course.
angry,
Yeah.
instead of getting angry on like against them for them acting a certain way that you don't like,
Yeah.
you empathize with them and you say, you know what, maybe they have problems at home. You know what, maybe they have massive insecurities that they like to project on other people, which I strongly believe anyone that puts down other people when they haven't done anything to them, I strongly believe there's something internal going wrong with them. Like when you read the comments on Gary Vee and people say, Gary Vee, like, I hope you die. Like what point in your life are they at to be spending that much time hating on someone else, right?
Yeah.
And like when you get to the top, you're gonna get a lot of that, right? Because people are gonna be like, oh, it must be nice, bro. Bro, why are you sad? You have a Lamborghini, bro. Why are you sad? You have $1 million, bro. Bro, this, bro, that. It's like to empathize with those people because they're spending time out of their day to go and hate on you. There must be something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with you, you know? And that doesn't mean don't take constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is very different to hate. Hate is, Mark, shut the fuck up. No one cares. Constructive criticism is, Mark, maybe this topic is a bit irrelevant to the business, right? That's two difference, right? And it's like the ability to understand where someone's coming from in life in general is so important. Because think about it, in a relationship, when you have, someone asked me today, why you use relationships always as examples? Because I'm a professional. Like if you have a guy and a girl arguing, right? All the girl wants and all the guy wants is that they want to see it from two different angles. Like, I thought what you did was wrong because of this, but I thought what you did was wrong because of this. And that's how people meet in the middle because they both understand each other's perspective, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Perspective, right? Because I always say it. I always say it. But it's true. Like, if I don't have the ability to understand how you're feeling, how do I know that the product or service that I'm going to sell to you is going to change that? If I don't understand your feelings and verify them, 100%. How can I change them? You know what I mean?
That's how it's all built, bro. When a business is built, you got to look at it from another person's perspective. Like,
exactly,
you got to understand the emotions and all that shit that come into it. Because if you haven't gotten that into place, like if you haven't understood it properly and taken time to go through it, then you're basically putting out a product or a service that you have no idea of who it's for. Like,
that's right.
When we're talking about putting yourself in the audience shoe, it's like finding out who's your target audience.
That's right.
Finding out what kind of emotion you're going to elicit to make them want your product or service.
For sure.
There's a lot of levels to it. It's not like 1, 2, 3. There's like so many, and it goes so far in depth that you just gotta take into factor all this shit.
For sure. And like, bro, like when you're doing a sale, right? Like we always speak about it. It's like if your ability to empathize actually helps with the sale. Like I said, it makes you money because people like relatability. People like when you can relate to their problems, right? People like when you can understand why they're feeling a certain way. And let's take it deeper. It makes them feel more connected to you, right? Which I think empathetic is so, and having empathy is so important for that. Because if you can understand how someone else is feeling, you can understand how to solve what they're feeling or why they're feeling that way, right? But if you don't have that level of connection, at the end of the day, you're just another salesperson, right? At the end of the day, you're another person trying to take a consumer's money without good reason for it. Right?
And it also goes like towards sympathy.
Mark.
Yo, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you cut out. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, it also goes along the lines of...
Oh, no.
Yo, can you hear me? Able, apparently.
Mine or yours?
I have no idea. But anyways, as I was talking, right? Is my voice clear? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking. I'm saying like it aligns along the ways of sympathy as well, because you're understanding like what sympathy is like understanding someone else's suffering. So it's like it plays with empathy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like sympathy is good in a way, but it's also degrading. When you feel sorry for someone, you're like, when you feel sorry for someone, you're kind of looking down on them in a way, right? Of course, you don't mean that. No one sympathetic is trying to make people look down, but having empathy is putting yourself on the medium ground with them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why empathy is mostly used over sympathy, right? And like empathy is so important to us because when we talk on the podcast and we like give it to someone's life, right? Like we're like, bro, what the fuck is this social media? Bro, why haven't you posted this, right? Or someone like, so like we get like, we were talking about those rich kids, right? Like people that grew up getting everything given to them and they go out into the world and they can't do shit, right? Because we're empathetic for them, we try to understand why you are a certain way. Because a lot of businesses were like when we study why businesses fail and stuff, a lot of it was to do with the fact that they went 1 year, 2 years and they got nothing, or they didn't get their goal of a Lambo in the first year, right? And it's like, it's because they've always been given stuff. So we empathize with them, then go back to the reason why they're feeling like that. We validate their feelings and then we tell you how to change it, right?
Yeah.
In the same way right now, when we're talking about empathy, it's because we're empathizing with those who don't have empathy, those who lack empathy, right? Because we know they'll be struggling with their consumers because the consumers won't feel that connected to them in the same way that our consumers would feel connected to us. So we empathize with the people that can't do that. And that's why we're here talking about it, to kind of teach it.
Yeah. And just to go back, it's off topic, but off to the, what businesses
Roger.
fail. What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, Roger, your fish. Yeah.
Roger. Yeah. What businesses fail. It's a lot of businesses fail in a way because they don't have a campaign in plan. And that's like a whole lot topic that we'll talk about in the next episode. But yeah, I want to touch on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for revealing all our content ideas. Anyway, back to empathy. Like it's like people like do mistake sympathy for empathy, right? So like I think we should touch on it because it's a very big deal when people feel sorry for someone, and there's a difference when you understand them, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of businesses might feel sorry for businesses, like for people, for their consumers, right? For example, on Are You Okay Day, people post about it and they say, ask your friend, are you okay? Do this, do that, right? But for the businesses that go out and research about their consumers, right? Like let's say the age rate, like let's say they're their target audience, right? It's like from 50 to 60. And then you go do your research about why 50 to 60-year-olds are like depressed, why depression rates are like this. And then you kind of empathize with them, right? Then that's taking it one step forward than sympathy. Sympathy is saying, are you okay? Empathy is in understanding why they feel that way. You know what I mean?
I see, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, because if you don't understand your consumers on that level, why should they understand your dreams? Why should they take the time to look at you anything more than just a salesperson trying to get money, right?
100%.
It's very hard in a world of social media where everyone wants to sell to choose who to buy from, right? But those who deploy real empathy, real love, real care are the ones that people are going to be more drawn to, because people like buying things that they know is going to push forward a good quality in life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like when we talk about Gillette and they will help, they're the commercial about like, disabled kid. We know that when we buy from Gillette, we're promoting ideologies. I can't talk today. Ideologies of equality, regardless of what stance you are in life.
Definitely.
In the health wise, right?
Yeah.
And so when we deploy empathy, hopefully, right? When we deploy empathy, caring, love, and we show that we actually care for small businesses, we go out there, we speak to them. We truly want to understand why people feel a certain way, why people are so unmotivated during COVID. Then hopefully people will be more inclined to come to our services, right? Over others, because they know that what we're pushing forward. It's the same with any business, right? And that's why personal brand, this all ties back to personal branding and that type of thing.
And you know what it is? Like a lot of people just jump into it thinking like, oh, like I don't care about the emotions. I don't like this, that. I just want to make a quick bag and leave, you know?
And leave. That's right.
And that's how the businesses fail, because they don't take it into consideration. Like being empathetic in a business world doesn't mean going out there and like just because you feel sorry you're gonna go give money to these people. No, it means all right, now I see this person, let's say for example a person, let's say before wheelchairs were invented, people saw that the inventor saw that people couldn't walk, so he was like, shit, like I feel sorry for these guys. I want to put myself in their situation. How will that make me feel?
Exactly.
So that person came out with the wheelchairs. Those wheelchairs, that he found an emotion. So and he turned that into a product. So giving these people something like a wheelchair, like obviously it's not the best, but it's gonna get them from A to B. It's gonna get them. Yeah, it's gonna change their life situation. Yeah.
And like, if we talk about the 3 stages of business, you know, the starting, the running, and then obviously the closing if you leave or if you sell it.
Yeah.
Empathy is important during all of them, right? Because the minute you stop deploying empathy, the minute you stop deploying these really strong emotions with your product or service, is the minute that you go back to square one and you've lost what you truly started for, right? When I talk about small businesses and things like that, like, it's because I truly want to well, we have been there for one. That's like the first thing. The second thing is like, I truly want to understand why brick and mortar businesses are so hesitant to go onto the digital presence, right? To go into the digital presence. I truly want to understand why small businesses fall down, like, you know, after a certain amount of period, right? And I think that for me is the most important thing about Zorus Media, like, to me. And hopefully we can admit that to people that watch our stuff, right? Not to buy from us, but just so they understand our passion, the reason why we do what we do, right? And people may think, like, you know, like Gary Vee always says, you could build the tallest tower in New York, right? Without blocking anyone else's tower, right?
100%.
Like, you could be the strongest business in the world without like fucking up everyone else's or doing dirty strats to like mess up your competitors, right? Feeling empathy for your competitors when they try dirty strats, like, you know what dirty strats I'm talking about, right? Like, when they go follow your followers, when they go message your followers better prices than what you're doing, bro. We've seen it all, right?
But at the end of the day, that's business in my eyes.
It's still dirty.
It's I don't know. It's business, bro.
It's dirty strategies. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, if they're going to that, because that's obviously because their marketing is not working, right? It's obviously because they've tried the mundane stuff that everyone else is doing, and they're like, you know what, fuck, we'll take the easy way out. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the easy way out. Yeah, it's a part of business, but it is the easy way out. Because what's more for your consumers? A marketing campaign based around, or like a marketing scheme that's based around your target audience, right? Or messaging someone else's competitors because you think they may come to your business, right?
Yeah, that's
obviously
the thing.
A marketing scheme.
That's the thing. That's why we always say, like, you got to have a good marketing plan in place. You got to know who your target audiences are, because if you're going out and copying your competitors doing the same exact thing they are doing, trust me, in a, like 99.9%, that method that your competitor is doing is not going to work out for you. Everything works different for everybody. So if you see your competitor doing something, yes, take notes, implement it, but add a twist to what they're doing. Add something from yourself that you're going to add, that's going to be attention grabbing.
Customize it to your consumers.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, the people you're copying from, they're focused on their consumers. They've built personal branding, understanding, they're empathizing with their consumers. But your marketing scheme is obviously has to be different, because your consumers are going to be different. Regardless if you're in the same industry, same niche or whatever, it's the people that you're targeting, right? Like, Bunnings and a different hardware store will probably be targeting different things, right? Because Bunnings is obviously established. People would be scared to go into that target range where Bunnings is going for, right? So it's like the ability to understand that and really customize, because empathy helps with everything, right? Like, it's going to help with your social media, it's going to help with your connection, it's going to help with your sales, it's going to help with you as a human as well, right? And I think that's like the most important thing about it. And people undermine it because it seems relevant to, like, you know, maybe like relationships, maybe like personal life and stuff. But it is an important quality in business, you know, like
Yeah.
not everything not everything in business is about fucking over your competitors and like, you know, getting to the top that way, right? Not everything in business is about looking like you're the strongest guy in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it's really not like that. A lot of businesses which thrive were the ones who were giving from the start,
Yeah.
right? And people started to get them to a certain range, like give them a certain amount of money, like startup businesses, right? You know
Yeah.
how they raise funds, like on Clubhouse, right?
Of course.
They go on Clubhouse and they start talking about why they're doing what they're doing. And most of the time they make me feel empathetic for them because we understand why they're doing it, right? Like, let me give an example. You remember that guy that like he goes into like American hoods, like proper hood places with like low incomes and stuff.
Yeah.
And he made basketball teams for all of them to get them off drugs and like all that type of shit, right? When he was talking about how he had his son, I think, passed away in the hood from like gang shit, right? And when he was talking about, you know, how basketball changed that many people's life, it made me want to put money into his business, right? Because the ability to put myself in his shoes as a father and then him have the execution to go and change it for a bunch of other kids' lives, right? Makes me want to support him. And I think people undermine that idea.
It's all about emotion at the end of the day. And like, I'm gonna like just with this topic, you can literally link it back to the previous topic that we had.
100%.
Being entitled. And like when you do such thing and then like say you come up with a product or service that you know that can make someone's lives better and shit like that, don't take it into like don't feel that you're entitled to get the results, because sometimes you do make something that solves an issue and shit like that, but you don't get results. So don't, just because you made it, you put it out there, you tried tried one campaign and it didn't work out, now you're gonna be like, shit, this is not working. That's like you thinking, oh, I'm entitled to it to work the first time. You can't be like that. You got to try 1, 2, 3 different ways until that thing works. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And it's just like the deeper connection like you get with your consumers when you deploy empathy sets you apart from your competitors as well.
Definitely.
Right? Because not a lot of people are really thinking about it, right? Like not a lot of people are going to be sitting there saying, how does my consumer feel? How does my life and the things that I'm doing impact my consumer's life? That's why in commercials, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when we did that video on watching commercials, they try to put a certain type of life in the consumer's mind when they buy their product. Example, the Mercedes commercial, right? They feel luxury. You feel like a king. You feel like a CEO, right?
Yeah.
And that's because they went through that empathetic stage and now they're transforming it into a marketing stage where they 100%. Can say, we know how you feel, but now we want to show you how our product can make you feel. You know what I mean? And then they show like the difference. They show the people with the mercs and the people without the mercs. And if you really look closer, the people without the mercs were like in poverty, basically. They were dressed in like, you know, ripped clothes, shit like that. And then the people with the merc were dressed in nice black suits, designer clothes, really nice mercs, that type of thing, right? Obviously, that's like taking it to the next level, but that's where empathy can go. And the reason why it's so important is because it could be deployed in all parts of business. And that's basically the point I wanted to get across.
I see that. And we see it. It's not only the Mercedes commercial, bro. We see it around all of them. Like, because they're putting through an emotion. That's how they capture someone. It's always eliciting their emotion. And I doing just before when I was doing my assignment, right?
All right.
And I was making a social media campaign, and through that, it was trying to get the audience. So the people that you're marketing to, you're trying to get them to purchase a product, right?
Yeah.
And how does one do it? You gotta like we keep repeating ourselves, but this is what people always like just forget. You gotta put yourself in the consumer's shoes to understand what the product you're making is, because that's the way that you're gonna understand the emotion behind it and how you're gonna push that emotion in order to capture to attract the consumers.
For sure. And like what drives action? right? What drives us to make Zorus Media? It was emotion.
Yeah.
So if we understand the emotion of our consumers, we understand their trends.
Yeah.
We understand what they like. We understand what they won't like, right?
Yeah.
It's all about, in a way, and I know you would have heard this from Gary Vee, it's all about reverse engineering someone, right? It's like not understanding what they are, but why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
Right? Why your consumers are inclined to visit Macca's 3 times a day. Why you're inclined to, why your consumers are inclined to, visit your Instagram page from 9 to 10 instead of 6 to 8 when you're posting your marketing schemes, right? It's so advantageous to be on a deeper level with your consumer because you like build this connection, right?
Yeah.
That is personalized to you and the consumer that can't be mimicked with another product or service, right? When you personalize all your content, all your product, all your service to your consumers, right? Not only do they feel special, that's like the first thing, they're feeling special, right? They feel like you're talking to them directly. You're not talking to their wallet, you're talking to them, right? And it makes it feel like they're within the business in a way. They are a part of what is going on. They're a part of the decisions that you make. Because if every decision you make is based off your consumer's understanding of their emotions or your understanding of a consumer trend, then wouldn't that mean logically or logistically that the consumer has a part in your decisions, right?
Of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when a consumer feels that way, then they're obviously going to support it because they're a part of it. That's a part of them. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the main point that we wanted to get across today.
And just to everyone that's out there that's watching, we are getting close to the end of the episode. So if you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below so we can get to them. But yeah,
I could just give like a quick example, right? Like of like a sales pitch, right? Like let's say I was selling I'll make it practical. Let's say I was selling like a finance software to you, right? And the finance software had a deadline as to when you had to put in your taxes, right? To the ATO. Okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the person that I'm talking to knows that they can't buy this finance software because they won't have time to fill in the taxes because they're a small business owner, they're very busy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously that sale is going to be hard because the requirements of the product are not fit to the consumer, right?
Yeah.
But in that call, right? I'm not allowed to say I had this call, but in this imaginary call that never happened, right? If I did deploy empathy,
I remember this. Yeah.
If I did deploy empathy and I said something along the lines of, look, like I understand, I understand what you're going through. Like I understand you won't have time. And of course, during Corona, you're not going to have enough time to kind of go fill in your taxes. And obviously, the income's not strong right now. So you can't hire an accountant to do it for you, right? But unfortunately, the ATO sets this requirement, right?
Yeah.
And they bought the product, right? So it's like, it's the ability to put yourself in their shoes, validate their feelings, and then they'll understand why you're selling them what they're selling, right?
That's it.
And that's just a practical example. Nothing to do with Zorus Media, completely into one of my old jobs. But I I've been doing it my whole life, and it's most of it I've learned from other salespeople as well. But also just being empathetic in life has helped me a lot, like just with relationships in general, with people and actual relationships.
100%, yeah. But yeah, guys, do you have anything else?
I was just going to wrap up. No, you
Alright. But yeah, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you got something out of it. As you know, yes, we were late today. We started at 9, but every day, every night.
Rest in peace, Roger.
Every night, we're live at 8:30 on all platforms. Remember to follow our Twitch at Zorus Media because we're going to be going there live twice a week and not on any other social platforms. So make sure you go there, follow that platform. But yeah, guys, thanks for today. Mark.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night. Thank you all for coming every single night. Sorry we were a bit late. We love you all.